Hey guys, After here, welcome back. Got a new game for you guys today, Company Heroes 2, one of my probably favorite games of all time, honestly. The reason I'm doing this video simply because it has a new standalone expansion that was released back a couple weeks ago in June. Basically, it released 2 new factions that you can play with in multiplayer, so it's pretty cool. I've been scouring the internet for kind of details on these factions, and pretty much the best way to do it is to play it yourself. There's really no like epic sites or anything to kind of just get all of the stats or anything like that. So I decided to do a couple videos of in-depth about these 2 new classes, I should say factions. Just kind of show you what they're all about. If you're new to the series, it's basically just an RTS, but it's a really sweet RTS. You don't really do much building management. You do have resource management, and you just basically build units with that. So it's kind of squad based, and we'll take a little bit more look at that here in a second. But first I want to show you a little bit about the new factions. The first one we have is the U.S. Forces. So when the game Company Heroes 2 was released, all you had was the Wehrmacht and the Soviet Army. Okay, so now you have the U.S. Forces and the Oberkommando West. If I'm butchering that name, I do apologize. So today we're going to be focusing on the U.S. Forces. So within the U.S. Forces, as of right now, you only have your 3 commanders. You have some intel bulletins, which are basically very small buffs that you get to any given unit. As you can see, you can have any 3 of them up here. Like, for instance, this one just increases armor penetration by 2% of some anti-tank guns. So it's really not that big of a deal, but it's just something cool that you unlock as you kind of level up throughout the game. I'm guessing, as they did before the expansion, you're going to end up getting more commanders that you can get through DLC. Basically, what commanders do is they kind of give you extra abilities or extra units, depending on which one you pick. There's 3 commanders that start off with the U.S. Forces. You have the Airborne Company, the Armor Company, and the Infantry Company. Pretty self-explanatory there. As you can see, the Airborne Company, you have abilities like paratroopers that you can drop paratroopers in. You can drop a tank, anti-tank gun in. You have a rocket strife. You can drop in a 50 cal. So you got pretty good stuff there. The Infantry Company, you have a mortar half-track. Your rifleman can build field defenses. You have a Browning LMG. That unlocks the ability to kind of suppress your enemy using your main rifleman. Then you also have an artillery barrage and the Priest Howitzer mortar carriage, which is very powerful. And finally, we have the Armor Company, which gives you, as you can see, access to assault engineers, elite vehicle crews upgrade, and Wolverine and Sherman tanks, as well as a 240 howitzer barrage. So, for the purpose of today's video, we will go ahead and play versus easy CPU, simply because, well, it's much easier to play against the easy CPU while I'm commentating. This game is not easy to commentate and play at the same time as most RTSs are. So hopefully you guys find a little bit of education in this video, because, man, it's getting annoying looking through the internet, the endless internet, to look for some of this intel. Hopefully I can help you along your way with it. Another awesome thing about Company Heroes 2, though, and Company Heroes franchise in general, is it gives you so much kind of history or information on the backgrounds, or, you know, whatever. So, like, even if you hover over one of these things, it'll tell you, that's a lot of text. Okay, let's go with this one. The German-made MG34 was the world's first general-purpose machine gun and arguably the most advanced weapon of its kind. The American-made M2HB heavy machine gun was, however, more widely used, as it was distributed amongst all forces in the Allied war effort. Both weapons could be mounted on stationary tripods or used on vehicles as mobile firing platforms. So it's cool how it kind of just gives you a little bit of information on pretty much everything, and there's a ton of these things that you can unlock and find. So there's a lot of info to be had there. So I don't know which commander I'm going to showcase today. I'm gonna say actually the I'm just gonna say the Airborne. It's pretty much the most interactive, I'd say. The assault engineers are pretty cool, but I think we'll showcase the most of the Airborne. My game oh, press any key. Yeah, there you go. Press a key. So here is the American Army. We're going to go ahead and have our rear echelon troops go ahead and cap a point. If you are not new to the franchise, the new factions do have different types of units here. the just standalone Company Heroes 2 basically had engineers and then engineers. They pretty much are the same thing. They kind of solved the same purpose. In this game, the rear echelon troops they're basically the Americans' engineers. They pretty much do the same thing. They're pretty much, in my opinion, the same as far as attacking and being able to defend or take ground. But the Old Commander West, or however you want to call it, they don't really have engineers. They have like a fighting battalion that is extremely potent and viable. But that is, again, for another video. So here's the main army, or the main backbone of the army of the U.S. forces. You have your riflemen. You have five-man squad here. That's pretty much all you really end up using, to be honest with you. They're very, very, very versatile, okay? So as you can see here, this is the only faction in the game that has a nice little compound like this. What you're going to end up doing, basically, is as the game progresses, you can actually upgrade to bazookas or to bars, and then obviously grenades as well. And once you upgrade them, you can actually go to this munition, these weapon racks here, and actually pick them up. I wonder if I can beat the computer on easy, just not paying attention. So what's cool about that is you can kind of spec into whatever you want whenever you need it, and then your basic troops can actually upgrade themselves with this information. Now, it's pretty expensive. I mean, and you can hypothetically get more than one per. So, I mean, if you wanted to put 2 bars in one squad, you could, but it's going to cost you 120 munitions, which is pretty expensive. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this game, you basically get resources down here. You get a generic manpower resource just by playing the game. The plus 273 is obviously how much you're getting. Now, this will go down as your manpower or your population cap goes up. So the more units you get, the less manpower you get per minute. You get munitions and fuel by capturing the corresponding points. Each supply point or observation or standard territory point, I guess if you want to call them, gives you, as you see, 5 and 3. And then there's also, as you can see on the mini map here, you have a fuel point and you have munition points as well. So this entire game is kind of strategic, and you have to kind of take the strategic places to kind of end up winning. Ultimately, you have 3 stars on the map, which symbolize victory points. The more stars you have, the more victory points your opponent loses. Your opponent loses, you don't gain. Once you basically get your opponent to 0, you win. So it's kind of cool. It's not just necessarily a duke out or anything like that. You can go into annihilation mode if you want, but the vast majority of this game, or game that is played, is mainly it's mainly in this victory point mode. Pretty sweet. So we have some grenadiers here from the computer that are attacking. So I'm going to go ahead and attack them. Now, sweet thing about this game is everything is cover based. So right now you see my guys don't really have any kind of symbols around them. If I were to move them in the middle of this road here, they'll go to negative cover. Well, they should go to negative cover. Maybe this is a bad area. It'd be better to show you off positive cover. So you have a little cart here. Once you go behind cover, you can see that little yellow shield as they're just destroyed. This group, as you saw there for a second, they had a red broken shield. That means they were actually in negative cover. So we'll go ahead and we'll take that point. We'll help them with that. See, they're in negative cover right now with that broken shield. And I'm floating a bunch of resources. So as you progress through the game, you obviously want to capture as many victory points as possible and hold them, but you have to tech. So for the American forces, the way you tech is these extra buildings. You have to buy the corresponding commanding officer first. So if I want to tech to get a utility car or a machine gun team or a half trek, I would want to get the platoon command post, and I think that is lieutenant. Then if I wanted to get maybe some anti-tank or some howitzers, I'd want to get the captain. And then finally, when I want to actually start to get some heavy armor in there, I'm going to end up unlocking the major. As you can imagine, the fuel is really important in this game, because that's what it takes to, that's what it takes to build vehicles. So as you can see, I'm behind the heaviest cover right now because it's showing the green, and we are just absolutely destroying these grenadiers. I just decided to walk into our epic barrages there. So let's see, it looks like these guys are waiting. Those guys are there. What do I have here? Riflemen. Oh, let's go get them, boys. Oh, no. Let's take a defensive position there. You know what? Let's grenade them and see what happens. Computer will probably sit in it. See, grenades are pretty potent. Let's grenade these guys. Now, another thing about Company Heroes is everything kind of comes down to your weapon and how you kind of use it. So, certain weapons are going to be more effective at range. Some weapons will be more effective in close quarters. Also, keep in mind that the closer you get to an enemy, the quicker you fire. So, if you have people that have, for instance, Thompson submachine guns, you're going to want to run them basically right into your enemy because they're going to do the most damage because they're obviously submachine guns, as opposed to people who are like riflemen who have obviously rifles. These guys are taking a lot of damage, so I'm just going to retreat them back. I'm going to kill these guys with these guys. So, what else makes the, U.S. forces unique? Well, basically their entire setup here. You don't have to build any buildings, you basically just build the corresponding commanding officer, as well as we can airdrop. So we have Pathfinders, we have an 50 cal. So let's go ahead and give these guys a 50 cal. We'll go ahead and res them up. I really need to start macroing a little better while I'm talking though. So we have MG here, which is I'm going to suppress my troops. So we're going to retreat them back. Obviously for MGs you want to flank them. It's pretty much the best idea. Let's go take that. Let's actually drop some paratroopers in. So they're going to come in from off the map. What we're going to do for these guys is we're going to actually drop a 50 cal. So we could drop this really anywhere in the map, but if you drop it where you actually have vision, it gets smaller as opposed to somewhere over here where it's a huge zone. The little arrows signify the way the wind is blowing. So if I put it, or if I'm like, let's say I was dropping paratroopers in, I was putting on trees, they could actually get injured and or killed in the process. So we'll make sure it'll drop there in a nice open area. Let's see, wait for it to get dropped. Meanwhile, I always want an attack move. Attack move, guys, attack move. Alright. So the ambulance is another unique part about the U.S. forces. The ambulance can actually move with the group, the army itself, and actually has an ability to heal everyone, on top of you being able to actually reinforce all of your forces at the ambulance. So I'm going to go ahead and move this up well past my base, and I'm going to reinforce them there. I'm going to move these guys here as well. It's a unique unit, the Pathfinder. It's more like almost like a sniper type unit. They can do a lot of damage from distance, but you don't want to really get up close to your enemy with them. You were supposed to move, mister. What else do we want to call in here? Can we afford? We want to afford? Let's go ahead and call in the good old captain here. So this is pretty much the anti-vehicle or anti-tank tent, I guess you could call it. Alright, so now we're all here. This guy stops. You can see that I can actually reinforce them right here. Reinforce these guys as well. And then if I hit the distribute medical supplies, everyone's going to get healed. This captain should be almost done. We're going to attack move there. Attack move is always the wisest decision because as soon as your forces come into contact with them, they'll automatically start basically killing whoever they see. Sometimes you might want to position specifically, like if you have an MG crew, because MGs can only fire directionally, as you see there. But we got them to route pretty easily there. Captain's taking forever.
Captain just took the battlefield.
Alright, so the captain's coming in from off the map here. You can see even the captain themselves come equipped with bazookas right off the bat. Again, very anti-vehicle type tent there. Let's go ahead and... Can we actually just go straight to the... Let's go to the major. Why not? And I want you guys to take that oil post. You guys can stay there to keep taking the point. Yeah, but if you're new to this series, and if you're a fan of RTSs, I can't imagine you'd be new to this if you're a fan of RTSs, but you should really check this out. Company Heroes is just an overall really, really great strategy game. I like it a lot simply because you don't have to worry about the building management. A lot of people like that aspect, sure, but it's a little bit refreshing to kind of just have a little bit more of a tactical feel, tactical gameplay overall, instead of just kind of spending the first 10 or 15 minutes worrying on building resources. It still is macro and micro intensive, and you definitely need to understand this overall strategies. You know, there's a lot of rock paper scissors going on in this game, right? I mean, if you have a bunch of infantry that has a bunch of anti-tank weapons, obviously you don't want to make anti-tank weapons, but you know, not everything with armor is necessarily a tank, or is necessarily an anti-infantry tank. I'll give you an example. This Stuart here is a light tank that is, obviously it says effective against light vehicles and infantry, right? Well, if you're infantry and you have bazookas, or if you have Panzerfausts for the Germans, it's going to get torn up by that stuff, right? If you have something like a Sherman, okay, which is pretty much effective versus everything, as it says, except heavy armor, it has the ability to take maybe a Panzerfaust shot, or even an AT gun shot. But the point is it's so fast, so maneuverable, you can easily outmaneuver an AT gun. So, you know, just because they have Panzerfaust doesn't necessarily mean a Sherman can't still kind of poop on them. So here we have a half-track, which normally would probably be pretty strong, but I have, obviously, my good old captain there. And most of these things from small arms fire take us a little bit of damage. Go ahead and grenade these guys. And we'll build the Sherman. And we'll tell it that we're in the middle of the map. Really, you guys taking that long? When our riflemen actually vet up, they actually have the rifle anti-tank grenade, or anti-tank grenade rifle, I should say. Which is pretty sweet. That's their bunker, so I probably want to try to fall back a little bit there. A good strategy to actually use here is smoke, as I'm dying in the process. If you can actually hinder their vision, it pretty quickly actually gets you unsuppressed, as you can see there. These guys are just little crybabies, clearly. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet game, guys. You really need to check it out. Let's go ahead and take this point up here. GG easy. GG easy. Ambulance is just doing nothing. Where's that tank? Just want to showcase the tank. She's almost here. She's almost here. They're being so dramatic. There she is. So you always want to get a lot of these tanks are coming with the ability to actually upgrade to a 50 cal, which is obviously going to help a lot versus infantry. So let's go ahead and try to stop this and see what happens. The Sherman here has the ability to actually load a high explosive, which will actually do more damage versus infantry, as you can imagine. So we'll just show this off. And it missed horribly, which is fair enough, but it's the thought that counts, right? Did he really just go in there? Yeah, just took two of them out with that one shot. Now I got the 50 cal, which is really going to do a number on him. So as you can see, the maneuverability of this tank is actually pretty significant. And that's what it's all about, is you can get those big tanks and everything, but you really have to be smart about how you maneuver everything. Looks like this is going to be a GG easy. Maybe I should have upped the difficulty a tad bit. As the Sherman's doing circles. Anyways, that's the U.S. Forces for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.